Test, 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 test. Well, good evening, everyone. Today is July 11th, 2024. Welcome to your regular session of your full commission meeting of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. For those that are watching or in person, we're glad to have you. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that some commissioner staff and the public are attending remotely via Zoom, by phone, or on site. All participants joining by phone should please mute their phones at this time, and make sure that it's muted even when you come and leave the building, because it can still be heard in here, and we want to avoid any background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you're allowed to speak, so that the public that is observing knows exactly who is speaking. Please be sure to speak directly into the microphone when allowed to speak, so the public can hear your comments and an accurate record can be made for this meeting. Our clerk needs that. This is critical given the number of remote participants and his current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General's office. If public comments are allowed on the agenda, comments should be limited to the topic of the item per discussion. And make sure that that we follow the decorum that we all need in this chamber. And I just want to let you know that abusive comments, disorderly conduct, or statements that are harmful to others will not be allowed and are strictly prohibited. I'll now call this meeting to order. Clerk, please roll call.
Roll call. Stites?
Here.
Davis?
Here.
Bynum? Here. Burrows?
Here.
Townsend? Here. Burns?
Here.
Harris? Hill?
Here.
Kane? Here. Lopez?
Here.
Bonner.
Here. Okay. Tonight's invocation has been given by Mr. Clarence Miller. Is he present? Okay. Reverend Hill, would you like to give us the honor of a prayer?
Amen. I didn't know which hill you was talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, we can't get it wrong when you got the Hills in the house. Thank you, Miss Fannie Hill, Reverend Fannie Hill. Everyone, please stand. She's going to give the prayer, and immediately following that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we thank you for your goodness, for your grace and your mercy. Lord, we thank you for your kindness to us. We thank you for bringing us together once again. Lord, we ask that you unite us with one heart and one mind. Lord, you said if we stand united, we stand undefeated, that you will stand with us. We know that you are God of your word. Lord, help us to come together. Help us to love. Teach us how to love and to respect and honor one another. Lord, we ask that you be in our midst tonight, that you keep peace among us, that you let no enemy come in to destroy the peace that you have given us. We thank you for all these things in your precious name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend Fannie Hill, for that invocation. Clerk, are there any revisions on tonight's agenda?
Yes, Mayor, there is an agenda update that was issued. Under that update, we removed item number 4 from the mayor's agenda, which was the presentation from the Kansas City, Kansas Housing Authority. And we added an item to our consent agenda, which was an ordinance vacating utility easement located at 7980 State Avenue. Those are the only revisions.
Thank you. That takes us to the mayor's agenda. Our first item under the mayor's agenda is a public forum. We call it public input or community input, which allows our residents to express concerns and present solutions relating solely and specifically to the unified government's area of span and control. I will now turn it over to the clerk, and she can run this portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. The individuals that have signed up this evening, I will call your name and I will call who is on deck. You will be given 3 minutes. Please remember to state your name and residence for the record. The first individual is William Rogers with Denise Smith-Heisler on deck.
First off, I want to thank the mayor and commissioner for allowing me this time. I know that when the mayor started this, he asked that.
Sir, please state your name.
Pardon me?
Please state your name and.
William Rogers, 73rd and Yecker. I know that the mayor asked if we bring a problem to try to bring a solution. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the solution first, which the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department has an internal affairs department, which if you have an issue with the police department, you call them and they handle it. And it's a pretty easy process. But what do you do if you have a problem with another employee within the unified government? Say you know about corruption or theft. You can't call human resources. They can't investigate a 5-year-old still in a candy bar. You can't call your commissioner at large Bynum because she'll tell you it's a personnel issue. You can't call Jeff at the legal department because he'll tell you he's not going to give you the open records you need to process this until you call the Kansas Attorney General, who seems to sway his decision. So who do you call? So I'm saying that we need an internal affairs detective like we need for the police department that you can call. So with that being said, let me go back to 2014, 2015, if I can. I was an employee with the city for 11 years. In the street department, there was two individuals. As street department, we would get overtime periodically during snow, or maybe if we fell behind on grass. So I pulled the open records for a year, 2 years actually, on these individuals, their pay records. They were given 10 hours every pay period for a year and a half. 10 hours exactly for basically a year and a half until I started pulling open records. Then it magically ended. That was $27,897.84. Here's the article that Channel 41 News did on that story. Doug Bach, it was taken to Doug Bach. Doug Bach swept it under that magic rug on the 9th floor. And
1
said
minute remaining.
it was a personnel issue. So I got wind that an individual in the Parks Department had an opportunity to take an operator two, and he was actually offered the job and denied it. He said he could make more money working for a particular supervisor. And so I thought, man, that's strange. Let me pull some open records. So I pulled the policy on pay out of class. I have that here. Then I pulled how many hours of out of class pay did that individual get? He's gotten 0 hours to date. So then I asked for how many overtime hours had he gotten this year? And that's when Jeff with legal said, I'm not giving you that. I don't have to give you that. Anyways, he changed his mind after the state, I reached out to the state. So this individual, for the first 5 months, has been given 72 hours of overtime. And you say, how does that work? Well, it's a trust issue. When you clock in
Sir,
on a
time
time
has
card,
expired.
pardon me,
Your time has expired.
Mayor, can I have an extra minute?
In the interest of time, I apologize because we got other people waiting.
Well, anybody that wants to get a hold of me and know about this, it's ongoing theft. And I can tell you that your internal affairs with the police department has opened an investigation. That number is C-24-07 into the theft of this money from the unified government. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Denise Smith-Heisler with Linda Smith-Heisler on deck.
Hello, my name is Denise Smith-Heisler, and thank you again for the time today. I'm new to this. This is the second time I've been here, so I'm not fully educated on the proper criteria, and so I'm getting used to it. So please bear with me. My first area of concern, of course, is our taxes. And I'm just asking each one of you to not raise the taxes, whether, we get star bonds for the Chiefs and the Royals and all of that. What that's going to equate to is taxes again for us. So I'm just asking you, I'm pleading you with you, please don't raise our taxes. The second item of concern is trash and recycling. I moved back into Wyandotte County 10 years ago, lived in Johnson County for my married life, that phase of it. And the trash and the recycling is atrocious. And I've talked to people from Strawberry Hill all the way out to Piper. I live in between, same issue. I've called BPU, of course, BPU doesn't have anything to do with it, wastewater. I've complained to 311. I mean, it can be a month before my recycling's picked up for our whole neighborhoods or trash. I don't honestly know what the solution is, but I'm happy to be involved in getting a solution because I'm not the only one that's affected. So I'm talking big government here that's involved, and I don't know where to start because wastewater, BPU, et cetera. I've complained, I've taken it all the way up the channel, up the line, and I'm not getting anywhere. And I'm speaking on behalf of myself and for my neighbors, both east and west, north and south. We need help. Not sure if any of you, if you don't mind, would you raise a hand if you're aware of that problem?
1 minute remaining.
Okay, I'd love to hear what's on the agenda for that. I really would like to know about that. So thank you. Let's see here. That takes care of it for me, and thank you for listening.
Our next speaker is Linda Smith-Heisler, Edward Bain on deck.
Good evening. My name is Linda Smith-Heisler, and thank you so very much for your consideration to hear me speak. I would like to, number one, reiterate about the trash issue. We pay for the service to be taken care of, and many of us are, if it's not picked up, and I'm speaking, we just bring it back in the house and wait for the next week. And on our recyclables, we are taking it upon ourselves, taking it up to the community college and putting it in the appropriate bins there. And so that's gas. And we shouldn't have to be doing that because we're already paying for the service and it's not getting taken care of. So I don't care if they take a trip down the street and hire somebody to do the second side of the street. You know, they do this all over the cities surrounding. So I don't know why KCK doesn't do that. Number two, I would like to speak a little bit about the taxes. This is a bread and butter issue for us. And some people don't have that problem, but I mean, I am 70 years old and I'm still working because I have to. Okay. Some people, they have the luxury of not having to work when they get to that age. I think I'll probably have to work till I'm 400 because the way things are. Patriots left England for being taxed at 2% rate. Now, across America, we are a far cry from that percentage. We are at the 40% nationwide, and that is compiled of state, city, and federal altogether. So I don't know what solution there is, but we need help.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you. And I think, okay, is this okay for everybody's families? For their parents to have to worry about taxes, for their children, for their grandchildren, your pastors. So I just say, please hear us speak on the taxes, and we get it. And above all, God watches everything that's going on. He knows who's voting for it, and he knows who is standing up for what's wrong and what's right. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Edward Bain. Tim Lewis on deck.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the time. Edward Bain, Kansas City, Kansas. I'm here to talk about the concerns I have about the stadium issue and the fact that the state did not allocate any money to local government to help us with the costs and burdens that we are going to face with this deal. I understand that a lot of the utilities are going to be paid for by the STAR bonds, and that's great. But what about the ongoing costs, maintenance of these utilities? We're talking sewer capacity, electric capacity, electric production, wastewater, roads, water. All of these things need ongoing maintenance and repairs. And there was no money given to us by the state to tackle these issues. And I understand people are going to say that, well, you're going to get sales tax money. And so that's going to pay for everything and it's going to be wonderful. I just think it's dangerous to rely on something that we may not come. The Chiefs may not be as popular 10 years from now as they are today. And to rely on that, and I just don't think it's a good way to go about business. Let's talk about roads. We hear all the time the road study. We get the road study every year and we hear about the condition of our roads. People are going to use our roads. And I know I-70 and I-435 are going to be used a lot. People are going to use our city roads. Who pays for that maintenance and repair? I want to talk about law enforcement. The Chiefs generously said, well, we'll pay for off-duty officers at the stadium. Well, that's not good enough. You have people that are going to use State Avenue in parallel. What happens when there's a crash on State Avenue? Who covers that? Who pays for the officers to report there or coming from other parts of the city? We're going to need traffic control from in other parts of the city. You know, a good DUI officer costs $100,000. A good DUI prosecutor costs $100,000. If we don't get in front of this public safety, it's going to be a mess. We're going to need an investment in municipal court as well. So you see all these things add up and we've got to find a way to pay for it. We might need a new fire station.
1 minute remaining.
If that is expanded out there. Who's going to pay for that ongoing cost and setting that up? And so I just think we can negotiate from a point of strength. They need us a whole heck of a lot more than we need them. And we've got to negotiate from a point of strength. We've got to make sure we do not see any increased costs. And if we do, the teams have to pay for it or the state has to pay for it. And it should not come out of our property, of our sales tax. Because that needs to go to our city services and our property tax reduction. And we haven't even talked about, these teams are going to ask for property tax abatement. And we haven't talked about that. And I hope everyone that is here tonight that's concerned about property taxes comes back when we start talking about property tax abatement for these teams, because they're going to ask for 100% property tax abatement. And then we're left with nothing. If we have all these costs, we abate the taxes. And talk about the sheriff's office. The sheriff's department is going to have a burden of increased people in jail. When you get that many people, an alcohol fueled fan base,
Your time has
you're going to
expired.
have people in jail and committing crimes. And we need to account for that as well. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tim Lewis. Scott Harding on deck.
Tim Lewis, do I have the break to give my time to this gentleman, please?
We don't allow time trading. I apologize.
Sir, I tried. I was really interested in what he was talking about, because there is a lot of stuff about the corruption of the UG, and we need to really get our
Sir,
hands
could you
on
state
it.
your name and residence?
Tim Lewis, Piper.
Thank you.
My whole thing is on the taxes. We were here a month ago on this whole tax increase stuff. It's an easy thing. We've already voted on this. Who up there, raise a hand, who wants to increase the taxes of an already overtaxed community? Sir, do you want to increase taxes? No, there's one vote. You want to increase taxes? 2 votes. You want to increase taxes? 3. Want to increase taxes? Mr. Kane, do you want to increase the taxes of already overtaxed people? Do you want to increase the taxes? Huh? Okay, but do you want to increase taxes? We can make cuts other places to, and right here, increase taxes, increase taxes, increase taxes. I think this meeting can be adjourned. I mean, this is this easy. Why do we have to keep going over this and you guys keep bringing it up, I mean, are you waiting for us as a group not to show up to pass this agenda? I mean, is that what we're really doing? Mr. Kane, you've had many discussions. You know how I feel and you know where I'm scared. I've already said it the last meeting. I'll say it again. You're not stealing my house. You will not steal my house. I will fight. I am a law-abiding citizen who you're forcing to physically protect my home. You have taxed me out of my home almost. I'm not doing it no more. I cannot afford any more taxes. And I will not accept any more higher taxes as long as all these other nice people. That's why we're here. So, I really hope you vote again. No more taxes. Let's look for other places. I've told you how we can save some of it. How much gas does the UG
1 minute
use?
remaining.
How many cars does the UG own? People that have UG vehicles that are driving home and taking their families out to dinner, that's our gas that you're using. How much money can we save just in gas? How many times do I see a fire truck sitting at a grocery store? I respect firemen. I respect every police officer. But that's our gas. There's just a ton of money we can save in simple fixes. But the commissioners won't do it. And I don't understand why. Why do we got to go to the taxpayers again that can't afford their homes, can't afford their medicines because they don't know what their house payment's going to be next month, or food? It trickles down and it needs to stop. And I mean, this is the commission. The commission can do it right now. Stop. Find a different way to come up with y'all's agendas. Where I'll be honest, I've talked to people and people were
Your
asking,
time has
who's putting their
expired.
money? Where's the money going? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Scott Harding. Sylvia Labornick on deck.
My name's Scott Harding. I'm from Bonner Springs. And if there's a break, some of the commissioners I'd like to talk to, if that's possible. My concerns today, I'm thinking the financial reports. I went online and it's supposed to be public knowledge, supposed to be like the Information Act. And I went to look at your financial reports and it's like 2022. There's no 2023, no 24. So how are you guys getting your numbers, correct numbers, to do your analysis on your budgets? If you don't know what your account balances are, you don't know what your expenditures are, I feel that there's something funny going on. And I know there's problems a lot of times with a lot of different things. I know that. But isn't there laws in place that they have to be done, let's say, April or something like that for that next year? Or how does that actually work? Can somebody answer that question for me? If somebody wants to take the time to answer it whenever I get down, that would be great. My next concern, the taxes. You know, a lot of people are paying 5,000, 6,000, 12,000. I've heard 36,000 in Piper. You know, and it's a big strain on the people that are poor, middle class. We have a lot of different bills now that's bigger than they ever have been before. The costs are just getting out of sight. I think everybody in this room knows it. And somebody's got to tighten the belt. We have to tighten the belt. The poor people have to tighten the belt. The people that's been evicted from their apartments because they can't pay the apartment rent, and the people that has been on the
1 minute
land bank and the
remaining.
house bank, that there, I think that it's been shut down because it didn't give enough time limit for the people to correct the problem before you took their land and their houses. And that's something that ought to be talked about and maybe come up with a solution. Why? We know why. Taxes is one of the big thing, and cost of keeping your property. Like I tell my kids, the more stuff you have, the more money you have to keep it. And that's with the city too. They have the same thing to look at. They have to look at what they have. And let's say they got 30 cars out there, let's say in the annex. How many cars do you really need to go out and inspect a property? You don't need all them cars. You don't need one for each individual in there. They're not driving them home.
Your
They're
time has
sitting there.
expired.
But then the police department's driving it home. I can see that to an extent, but that's fuel that the taxpayers is paying for. So I hope you guys think about this hard. I know the people that was here the last time it was homeless. It was really sad to see it. And I hope that nobody else has to go through that. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Sylvia Vobornik. Carolyn Wyatt on deck.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see what y'all look like. It's the first time I come to one of these meetings. First of all, I'd like to say,
Ma'am, would you state your name, please?
oh, sorry, Sylvia Vobornik, 3940 Fisher, 109-year-old house. I'm 30 years younger than the house. How about that? Now, the taxes, 40th and Fisher, and all the way up to Rainbow is a blighted area. There's nothing beautiful there. I used to try to keep the corner where I live beautiful, but you run me out. I go to bed at night worried about how I'm gonna pay your damn taxes. 40,000 you added to it last year, 28 for this year. Where are you gonna get the money? I'm old. I'm the only one that lives there, but except with my dog. I don't understand. I like the BPU. I like the police department. And other than that, Wyandotte County sucks. What you've done to the people here, projecting what you can sell your house for when you wasn't even gonna sell it, and adding tax to it. Do you want a tax on how many more pork chops I'm gonna eat in my lifetime? or how many more kids I'm gonna have. You're crazy with your taxes. People live in nice homes in Johnson County and pay less than us.
Our next speaker is Carolyn Wyatt.
Good evening, Carolyn Wyatt, Fourth and Troop. We've been here before. A lot of commissioners here that wasn't here the last time. So I don't know if they come here to object to what passed last time. But if they are, they need to look at the audience because you gotta run next year. So we're not gonna make sure to put the same people in office that are sitting there now who's running. People need to live. Some people quiet. You know, I say you're throw a rock and hide your hand. You got a few people up there to do that, but we know who those people are. So what I'm saying, it's a lot of things going on. You know, we got rainwater. We getting charged for rainwater. Water come from the sky to fall on your land, and they want you to pay for that. That water's been running for years down that drain. You know, so how do you charge a person? That's just more money. That's more taxes. You know, so you got to look at all that. And I don't think anybody need to pay more taxes. I don't know if either one, some of you up there probably not paying very much taxes because I've heard that from other people. And they're looking that up. So if you're not paying very many taxes, but you're going to tax us and you know your taxes aren't that high, that's why it's okay for you to raise our taxes. So we have to be on one accord. You can make it another year without raising taxes. And there are a lot of departments that there's a lot of money in there that's been a waste. And that's something you need to look at. Look at those departments that you have double people. And one department who should have people in them is economic development and community development. If we're gonna bring the chiefs or we're gonna develop around here and you don't have nobody in those departments, something's wrong. That's on the county administrator. He's over Kansas City, Kansas.
1 minute
So if
remaining.
those departments aren't filled, and I've been talking about this for like at least a couple months, and if they're not filled yet, I think we got the wrong person in place. So we got to look at that. We need people in those departments, but we need our taxes lowered. And I want to thank you all for the ones who are done a good job and going to do a good job. And the ones who aren't, we got to vote them out. It's just simple. We know who those are. And we're going to work real hard, real hard. And all these people in here, they know 20 people or more than that. So, I mean, you know, it's big, you know, we can handle that. So thanks very much. And, you know, continue doing a good job. If you do a good job, we'll all be happy. We'll all be pleased. And people won't come up here crying. And they shouldn't have to come here and cry. And their taxes shouldn't be that high. That's like, you say, insane. That lady's tax is that high.
Your
Oh, it
time has
makes sense.
expired.
Thanks a lot.
Mayor, those are all the individuals who signed in to speak this evening. We do have 2 comments that were also submitted, and we have hands online.
Fourth, please. Is there anyone else like to speak? Okay. If you come forward, please state your name, one at a time.
My name is Randy Nye. I'm Bonner Springs resident. Couple things. I have a neighbor that retired from BPU. You know, the first thing that he did when he retired? Put his house up for sale and he left the county. He said, I cannot afford the taxes here. That's been 2 years ago. Since that 2 years ago, my house has gone up $100,000 this year, $70,000 the prior year. I want to commend you on the job you're doing, because what you're doing is putting people under bridges. If you continue to accelerate the budget above neutral, you're going to put more people underneath the bridges. Is that what you want to do? Revenue neutral needs to stay in place. It actually needs to be revenue negative, because we can no longer afford this county. I've lived here my whole life. I'm a third generation Wyandotte County. My mother was born not a few blocks south on 7th Street. Something needs to change.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Fanny. I live in Wyandotte County. Y'all are wearing me out. Hey, listen, we can do better than this. And I have a proposal on the table. I've been meeting with Commissioner Bynum and Commissioner Evelyn. I'm grateful. I thank God for them just meeting with us. But we gotta move forward with a proposal. I have been asking commissioners to work with the community. Let us help you. I've heard some great solutions, and we know there have to be cuts, but I'm asking you to start from the inside. Work from the inside out with the cuts, and let the people have some power. Let the mayor have some power and a seat at the table. You're not listening because you have all the power, so you don't have to. So we're asking you, let us help you with solutions. I'm here to work with this community, to work with you all, to bring some peace. We all want the same thing, to see our community grow. And we can do it together. But divided, we will continue to fail. If you think you're doing a great job, look at your people. Look at your people. Your people are miserable. Your people are hurting. Your people are begging. Your people are crying. Base how well you're doing by looking at your people. Because what you have to understand, you have to know who you are. God loves you. He loves his people. We are the beat of his heart. You're the beat of his heart. Where the people should be before everything. Priority should be given to the people. The people first, everything else second. And I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you for this community. Give the people a seat at the table and don't turn back from revenue neutral. Don't let fear take you back. You're moving forward. You need to go revenue neutral and stay with that and look for a way to roll back the taxes. They are too high. You can do it. What you're trying to do is bigger and greater than you. It's bigger and greater than me. But there's somebody who has the answer. Stop thinking you can do it on your own. Stop thinking you know how, because you can't. Your brain isn't that big. Mine isn't that big. But we got help. Ask God, help us. We need help. We're in a situation bigger than us, greater than we can even imagine. We know the corruption is huge in this city. All of you sitting there know how huge corruption is. People are digging into it. When I came into this thing, I didn't come, I was sent. And God said, I'm going to clean this city up, because this city is going to blaze the trail for the nation. It has to be cleaned up.
Your
The
time has
corruption is
expired.
going to be exposed. You will be amazed at all the corruption that has already been exposed and being dealt with. And there's a lot, the Lord said, you haven't seen anything yet. You can't imagine the depths of the corruption in this city, but he's going to expose it. He see it, he's looking at it, and he's moving in his own time. You don't have to believe it, because whether you believe it or not, it doesn't change. And it doesn't stop.
I'm Helen Hokinson. I live at 65th and Cernage. It goes without saying that I can't afford another tax hike, but I'm here to request that as we build and build and build around the legends, that we pay a little bit of attention to communities in Quindaro, Strawberry Hill, downtown, that kind of thing. And what I would like to see is a permanent free spay-neuter facility. I know that Commissioner Bynum and Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Stites did some work, a year ago or so, and we've seen some spay-neuter clinics. And as one who volunteers with animal rescue, it hasn't made a dent. It hasn't It hasn't had any effect at all. The situation across the entire metro in animal welfare is quite dire. Providing a service on a permanent basis in those communities would have an impact whether you're an animal lover or not. Yes, the feral and stray dog and cat populations are, it's past time to do something. And I know, since we're talking about the budget, that you want to know how we're going to pay for it. And that's not my job, but we have some fairly large companies here who, if I understand, are receiving quite hefty tax cuts, tax benefits. So we've got Amazon. I don't know if they have grant funding or if we could negotiate with them. I know we have a lot of developers moving in who are receiving substantial tax abatements. So possibly negotiating with them. And I'm wondering if there's grant funding that we could request. So thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Craig Estes. I live in Bonner Springs. I'm ashamed of these people. Do we even know, do we have any reserve money in this county? Is there any money in reserves? Does anybody know? Don't know?
Okay, we're here to listen, but we can answer those questions for you after you give your statement. We don't want to cut into your time.
Okay, all right. Well, we don't know because an audit hasn't been done. Okay? We keep raising the taxes. Johnson County, you can live cheaper in Johnson County than you can in Wyandotte County. What does Wyandotte County have that Johnson County doesn't have? I lived in Johnson County for a long time, and I just moved back to Kansas City, Kansas. I grew up here. My dad worked at the National Guard Armory. My mom retired from Bethany Medical Center. My whole family's from here. And this is ridiculous. Every time I open up the statements on the taxes, you guys, I think, are business people, and I think you can balance a budget. I know at my house, if I don't have any money, I don't spend it. And I don't have anybody to go to and say, hey, you know, give me some more money. Something needs to be done. This is, you guys are taxing us to death. This poor lady over here, 70 years old or however old she is, doesn't that just break your heart that she can't keep her house? And look how many people that can't keep their houses. Do you know our taxes now are as much as what our house payments used to be? I mean, $500 a month in taxes, and I live in a little nothing house. This is ridiculous. You guys need to do something about it.
Good evening. Alex Sanchez, 38th and Leavenworth. It was a great meeting that we had our last round. Good job, 9-0. So we're going to keep revenue neutral, right? Absolutely. I went home and I got some great news. So my taxes for our house went up over 17%. I'm right now, like many people, on the brink of not being able to make our house payments. It's that bad. And I too would also like to see the financials of what's going on in this county. Like, let's remember why we have UG. KCK was going under. The state stepped in and joined it up with the county because of its strength. KCK is in that much better position right now. And look at where Wyandotte County is. The roles have been flipped. Nothing has changed. The same people with the same mindsets and the same ideologies are running the show, and they are running it into the ground. So I, for one, would like to see the financials to see what's going on behind the scenes with the budget, who's spending what, and where the money is going to. I'm still waiting. It's been many months. I'm still waiting for access to see the land bank, because we have over 40,000 parcels of buildable land in the land bank. You want economic development? Nothing has been done with that for years. A lot of the land was being given away about 2, 3 years ago, and that was stopped. And it was stopped in our neck of the woods because the powers that be decided that it was getting too brown. And unfortunately, the Hispanic community down where I live in 38th and Leavenworth are fixing their houses up. They're taking care of the properties. They're investing. They're doing an incredible job.
1 minute remaining.
So I would like to see, can someone get that to me? I would really like to see what's going on. I would really like to know what's going on with the land bank. How many more years is it going to sit there doing nothing? When we have people who have the know-how to build and develop to meet the needs of this community. That right there is the recipe to bring us into a positive cash flow situation. The people in this county, we're losing residents in this county. I hope you know that. Thank God that the $435 million star bond that USD 500 was trying to do did not pass, because that would have added a couple more $100 of taxes on top of the 170 that was already added to mine.
Your time has expired.
This has got to stop. Thank you.
Jesse Villarreal, live on 4045 North 67th. But you probably know who I am because I've been up here before. And those of you who've spoken to me offline and given your time, I appreciate that. And you can just exempt yourself, although I hate to say it, but it's not very many of you. This is why we don't trust the government. This is why we don't trust you all. I mean, I'm blocked from my own commissioner's posts on social media. Not sure why, but I wasn't born yesterday. I can't see what my own commissioner posts. Do you think that might be because I'm a little outspoken? I mean, could be. What was the plan tonight? I'm curious. What was the plan? Mr. Johnston, I bet you could tell us. What was the plan? Were we going to come in here because there were some commissioners that didn't have the nerve to show up last time and you thought maybe we could call a revote on everything? Maybe go around the rules, maybe do some vote counting behind the scenes, which, as I think you all know when you did your ethics courses for these positions, is not legal. But you were going to do it anyway, I have a feeling. I mean, it doesn't take an expert. And I'm guessing the legal counsel probably would have helped with it too, because they like to go with things that are assumed or implied. I just find it interesting when people do speak up that either you don't listen or you try to silence them. I spoke up at a planning and zoning meeting, at a couple of them actually, in defense of some neighborhoods that had LIHTC housing being forced upon them because, not surprisingly, the Polsinelli law firm is in the back pocket of our planning and zoning board. So they're going to come up here and ruin people's property values, but we don't want to say that out loud. But you know what he did? You know what Jeff Carson did? He shut me out of the meeting. When I quoted from our citywide master plan, he shut me out of the meeting. And then the next time I showed up and didn't say a word and sat in that back row, he called the sheriff and said I was causing a disturbance in the commission chambers. 7 of the sheriff's deputies and police deputies showed up that night. Our county resources were used because I spoke up and exercised my First Amendment rights. And I told all of you about it. I sent you the video, so you knew about it. Mr. Johnston, I don't think you did anything. And I asked you face to face to take action on that. And you didn't. So at what point are you going to listen to any of us? I mean, this isn't just poor people. This is everyone. Everyone has a budget on what they can pay for their homes, whether you make $100,000 a year or $30,000 a year. So what gives you the right to, first of all, barely show up half the time for these meetings? And then when you do, you're not held accountable and you think that you can be above the rules? It's shameful. And the one that didn't show up tonight, he was sure real strong behind his keyboard on social media, but he couldn't be bothered to show up. But yet he has his finger on the pulse of his constituents, as he said a couple meetings ago. So if you think we're not going to keep showing up, you're wrong.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hendrik von Braun. I used to live in Kansas, Missouri. Due to a situation that the lady that I am taking care, I had to move to her house and live in a basement. She didn't want me to pay rental to her, but I said I'm going to pay the utilities. I knew that when she lost the house by her sister who stole the house and some rest of the property. She had 15 days to be removed from the house. If not, they are going to throw her out the house. So desperately, she looked for a house, and she found a house, very fortunately, close to the church, close to the cemetery that she goes and put flowers to her mother and grandparents. The situation is when she retired about 4 years ago, more difficulties came. She had to pay the mortgage. She had to pay the bank that she very fortunately got some loan. And nowadays the difficulties are terrible for her. I don't know what to do. The only thing is, if you raise the taxes, it's not only her, all these people in here crying loud, asking for mercy, asking for compassion, because they are going to lose their house. They are going to be homeless just because of taxes. I appeal to your sense of humanity to listen to all of these people and me. I am the witness. The lady who used to
1 minute.
have her own house. Today, she had another house but she isn't dead. Thank you for your time, and I'll respectfully appreciate that you take in consideration all the voices in here. Thank you.
Hello, Tori Walker, Kansas City, Kansas. Well, last time I came, I had a whole typed up thing that I'd worked on for days, but I had last minute notice. I am new to the political scene here. My 13-year-old and I were quite enthralled with the meeting we had last time. And we were foolish enough to think that a decision was made. And we were moving on with everybody knowing we were not exceeding revenue neutral. People felt really positive about that, hopeful. I felt, a little bit of trust. Maybe we can trust that our government officials are going to look out for us and they're going to listen to the voice of the people. And so I guess I'm stupid because it did not occur to me for 1 second that there could possibly be some kind of shenanigans behind the scenes. And some people, and I don't even know all of you well enough to know for sure, all of my conservative buddies and those who are want to do a lot more spending of my money. It did not even occur to me ever that I would get messages and notice about some things, people, whoever, trying to do some things behind the scene to undo the great thing that you did, the great vote 9-0 that happened last time. So clearly I have a lot more to learn about what can happen in politics. But I will keep being involved and further educating myself. And I hope that you will continue on the path that we decided, I guess it was about a month ago, when you all voted as though you heard the people. And I just ask you to keep doing that, to listen and heed
1
the
minute
voice
remaining.
of all of your constituents. When I came up here last time, I told you how thrilled we were to find a place on Oak Grove Road where it's kind of a little bit rural, but it's also near everything and kind of the ideal thing we've been looking for, but that I was not aware of the lurking monster of property tax increases. And every year it's gotten worse and worse. And this year, you know, I got to the point from being bothered to upset to just irate. We cannot do it. We cannot, my husband says frequently, we really can't afford this house anymore. Of course, in today's climate with all the prices, we can't afford to go anywhere else either. So anyway, I just ask you to do what is right and do not try any underhanded ridiculousness to try to undo the good thing that you did last time. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joanna Carl, North 67th Street, Kansas City, Kansas. I'm going to read a quote from Elder Dallin H. Oaks, apostle of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Former judge, he worked for the Fed too. He said, "A covenant is a commitment to fulfill certain responsibilities. Personal commitments are essential to the regulation of our individual lives and to the functioning of society." This idea is currently being challenged. A vocal minority, could be some of y'all, a vocal minority oppose institutional authority and insist that persons should be free from any restrictions that limit their individual freedom. Yet we know from millennia of experience that persons give up some individual freedoms to gain the advantages of living in organized communities. Such relinquishments of individual freedoms are principally based on commitments or covenants expressed or implied. In order to have a society that functions properly, we need to be able to keep our promises, uphold the rule of law. The people voted last month, and y'all voted to represent us, that we wouldn't raise taxes, we would stay neutral. And now, like she said, you're trying to do underhanded, dirty, sneaky loophole stuff to come back again and try to vote to raise the taxes. That's not right. We need to keep our promises. You need to keep your promises. The people are suffering and God sees all. And one day, all of us will stand before God to be judged for our own sins and how we officiated in our offices on this earth. We
1
will
minute
all
remaining.
stand to be judged by God. What'd you say, 1 minute? Okay. I believe what Miss Fanny, what's your name? Fanny said. I believe she was speaking by the Spirit that one day your sins are going to be revealed. It's going to be all over the news. It's going to be in the papers. It's going to be on the media. And hopefully y'all repent before it's too late, because like I said, everyone's going to stand before God one day. How many people have to suffer? God hears their prayers. God hears all of their prayers. He will provide for them. If you tax them out of their homes, he will provide for them somewhere else.
Your time has expired.
But you're going to stand accountable. Thank you. Bye.
Pamela Penn Hicks, KCK. I don't want to give you any cover for what we heard was about to happen today, the conversations that were held about how to get around revenue neutral. But I do want to expand the conversation a bit while the people are here. This is not the only taxing entity you have. It is time to pay attention to the fact that there are 5, all told. You have the KCK Community College, you have USD 500, you have the library board. I'm probably going to miss a couple, but anyway, let me say that to you, that they are also in budget talks. And they are also talking about, particularly the college, exceeding revenue neutral. It would behoove all of us to continue following the process to its conclusion, because all of them impact your taxes. So I would like to say to everybody on July 15th, at 5 o'clock at KCK Community College, they're going to have a budget conversation. And at that time, they're talking, I mean, 16th, I'm sorry, that they are going to try to exceed revenue neutral on their budgets. So I just want you all to be aware.
That's a 60.
July 16th.
Cheryl Yates, 4525 North 108th Street. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I decided that as KCK leaders, you are elected officials, as well as all the other boards that are taxing entities, and you are responsible for doing the job that we asked you to do, we elected you to do. And we've heard a lot tonight about distrust of what you have done and how things are going and the ignored pleas of the people, the corruption. I admit my trust of the government is waning severely, but perhaps we could clear up some of those concerns and the thoughts that the people have by answering a few questions. And I know you can't directly answer, but perhaps you could after we all finish speaking. To be clear, I'm not coming here to ask for new libraries, parks, or more schools or buildings to inflate our empire that we're building, because what you are doing by doing all of that is running out the people. So number one, who does the audit for this government? Is it an internal auditor? Is it an external auditor? And who hires that auditor? Number two, was there any excess after last year's fiscal year ended? And if so, what are you doing with that? What kind of reserves were left? I think this group, as well as other taxing entities in our community, need to stop blaming the state. They need to stop blaming the people who they think should show up, because we, the people, elected you to do the job and you're being paid to do it, not to mention all the perks you get by doing it.
1 minute
So
remaining.
that's my request, is that you would expose who's doing all the auditing.
Jeff Stewart Turner. I don't have anything special to add. I think in the last 2 years, I'm paying over $400 more a month than I was before. It's about what everybody else is doing too. I just wanted to kind of add my name to the pile. I worry that some people think that this is accidental. I don't think that at all. Was it Hanlon's razor? Don't attribute malice to that which can be attributed to stupidity. I don't think it's stupid, although I think there's plenty of that around. I think it's malice. I think you people are doing this on purpose. I think you want to run us out of our homes. I think you hate us and you're our enemy. We don't need your leadership. We can't afford it. Thank you.
Robert Carl, North 67th Street in Sturnage. So at the last meeting, I had messaged Commissioner Davis, and he was asking for solutions. And it's kind of needed this meeting, this first time of this variety of it, that it's an opportunity for us to offer solutions. Of course, I think, as Fanny said, if we all had a seat at the table anyway, we'd be able to, in a better fashion across the county, offer more solution instead of directed solutions, but actual open solutions from the people. So some of the ones that I had in mind was, and this I've noticed all throughout just reading history and whatnot, is reduce regulations in city code. It's a great opportunity to reduce the burden upon the people and actually increase revenue. Because I know what you're all looking for is an opportunity to increase revenue. Taxation, which is legalized theft, is a means of short-term gain with long-term pain. What you're going to do with taxation, of course, if you continue to raise it, it's gonna squeeze money out of people, and eventually they'll have none to give and they'll have to leave, like everybody's saying. And if you're gonna decrease your revenue stream by continually building apartment complexes, you're getting people that come in, do not pay like the high property taxes like some of you do. Kane, I think you're close to 10,000 now. You're over 5,000 boroughs. Bynum is over 5,000. Davis, I think you're over 3,000. I've seen it double in the past 5 years or so. And it's something y'all should take note of too. The apartment complexes, those people in those buildings, as nice as they may be, they come and they drain services and do not pay nearly as much as those that partake of the system by owning houses. You've also got with the bond 420 million or whatever it was from USD 500. I think the stats that came out were only about 57%, 52% of those that live in USD 500 are homeowners. They're the ones that shoulder that burden of paying for all the others that are in those housing facilities, apartments, whatnot, that also use the services.
One
And
minute
it's an
remaining.
unfair and overburdened process. So some of the solutions to deal with, okay, how can we raise revenue? Because I know that's what ultimately businesses want to do. And the government is a business. They're in business to keep their employees, to continue to gain revenue, increase their payroll, et cetera. Reduce codes, reduce regulations, free the people. They're overburdensome. We can't even use our land the way we want to without having to come down here, pay over almost $300 just to say, hey, I'd like to use it this way. Can I please? We already paid for it. It's our land. Let us utilize our land freely, reduce the overburdensome regulations. Let us be innovative. Regulation, government overregulation is inherent to constricting people, enslaving them to be nobodies. Let us be somebodies by freeing us from those codes and regulations, of which come from the ICC if you want to talk about codes and the planning department.
Your
in
time
general.
has expired.
Appreciate it. But yeah, take care of that revenue. But we can increase it. There's other ways to do it than taxation.
Thank you. Joe Quinn, Kansas City, Kansas. To paraphrase Forrest Gump. Gee, Commissioner Burns, sorry I ruined your Democrat Party coffee on Friday mornings. So after the last vote, maybe you'll have to keep your voice down at the coffee tomorrow morning, but after the last vote, you lamented how late you had to stay that night and that the natives were restless. Well, it looks like they're restless again. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anna Joy Walker, and I live in Kansas City, Kansas. I just got home from a week-long mission trip last night, and on Friday and Saturday, my group worked at a homeless shelter, and several people were sharing their testimonies, and a bunch of people that were at the homeless center were evicted from their homes, and because of the property tax and other taxes in general. And so, I mean, if you want Wyandotte and all the other counties to turn into a big homeless community, by all means, you can do that with your property taxes and other taxes. My family loves our home, and I don't want to leave, but these taxes are making it impossible. So, I mean, my family, my parents always talk about, like, we're gonna have to leave soon if the taxes don't stop. So, I mean, I don't want to leave. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all. There was a request by Commissioner. Mr. Rogers, we'll give you 2 more minutes in fairness.
As I was saying, and I apologize, I'm not really that good at this, but kind of forgot where I was at. But anyways, after I did these open records on the recent overtime, started pulling the open records, magically, that 72 hours of overtime ended again. So I guess my thing is, if they're doing something right, it should never end. I'm not opposed to employees working overtime. It's much needed. They're short-staffed. But if they're being paid overtime because of the Good Old Boy Network, which I can tell you that the director that was giving out to 10 hours overtime to the 2 employees, those 2 employees were working on the side for him. He's put up a lot of political signs over the years. I'm not going to say names tonight. That'd be inappropriate. And he's taken care of himself on that end very well. He was connected with Doug Bach. Now, Doug Bach's gone now. I think we have a new administration. I think because of the mayor and the new commission and the old commissioners too, trying to rid the Good Old Boy Network, I think that's why Internal Affairs decided to open up an investigation. So I guess my other solution would be, how do we end this theft of overtime? Well, at 50th and State, and I worked there for many years, so I know it was an old time card system, which, I mean, many of us old timers, that's all we ever used. Now it's a digital age. They have a digital time clock at 50th now that the street department clocks in and out on. Parks Department, which is literally 75 foot down the hall and have an office there, still use the time card system. I don't get that. Why don't they just have them employees walk up 75 feet and go to the digital system? And all I ask is, I agree with the commissioners when you guys tell me that you guys do not deal with the day-to-day running of employees. Absolutely agree with that. But I think when somebody brings forth open records that total $30,000 of overtime, and trust me when I tell you, they did not work it, I think it's your job then to hold the county administrator feet to the fire in executive session and require them to tell you what's going on with that. Don't let him tell you it's a personnel issue.
Your time has expired.
Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for giving me 2 more minutes. I appreciate that.
Thank you all in the audience to speak. Clerk, do we have anybody online?
We have individuals online and we also have comments that have been submitted.
Before you go to line, can you read the comments, clerk?
Yes. First comment received is from Edna Haney. To whom it may concern, I have lived on Wyandotte County for 72 years and have never seen seniors who have worked their entire life to buy, maintain, and work toward paying off their mortgage to either have a new mortgage, taxes, or have to sell their homes because their Social Security is not enough to pay these inflated taxes. How do you people sleep at night? Put this email in on the record. Enough is enough. The next comment received was from Michael Jurek. I hope each and every one of you will respect the wishes of your constituents and not that of the lobbyists and unions, and vote no against any future tax hikes for Wyco residents. Respect the vote that was put forward at the commission meeting on June 27th, 2024, when the people spoke. Stop this nonsense of displaying your lack of respect for the people's opinions, your games of taking us away from our families and personal commitments, making us stay up late only to be tired at work the following day because we've attended these meetings. To make sure you uphold your commitments will get you removed from office. Place this email on the record and place this email on the record. Those are the 2 comments we received. Nope, I lost my mayor. Mayor, I've read all the comments we received.
Thank you, clerk. You can proceed online.
Our first individual is Susan Stevens. Ms. Stevens, you'll need to unmute. You'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and residence.
Can you hear me?
Barely, if you could speak a little louder.
Oh, can you hear me now?
A little better. Go ahead.
A little better. I'm Susan Stevens. I live in the Argentine neighborhood in Kansas City, Kansas. I'm working 6 days a week now just to keep up with the rising costs of everything and trying to take care of some repairs I need on my house, such as tree trimming before something comes down on and damages electrical power and things like that. And so yeah, it is. I echo the frustration of the people who thought this was all handled a month ago, that you unanimously voted, with the people to not exceed revenue neutral. And yeah, I think many of us are working a lot of hours. We have responsibilities, and it's hard to have to feel like, that 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 there is going to be this sneaking around and people, coming back and trying to exceed revenue neutral the first chance that they get. And I just appreciate all of you that are 100% for the people. And I hope you'll listen to all the people who've been suggesting some really good solutions, such as looking at internal expenditures, and and like Fanny Hill said, bringing everyone to the table and taking open suggestions from the community. I also echo the lady who talked about a free spay and neuter, which will greatly raise the quality of life for people and animals in our community, because it is with a lot of people becoming homeless and being in unstable situations, it does lead to a lot of people not having to move or not being able to care for their animals, and we've got to get on this and make
1
life
minute
better.
remaining.
Thank you. Make life better for the animals, which will also make life better for all of our neighborhoods. So thank you for listening, and I just echo everyone in saying, please keep on voting with the people. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Louise Lynch. Ms. Lynch, you'll need to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, Louise Lynch, Kansas City, Kansas. There are a few things I want to quickly talk about, and one of them that I talked about the last time I was here and today that's echoed through these chambers is the disrespect. Not only is these taxes and the vote that you did for revenue neutral what the people wanted, but to go against them or to have your little private meetings, Mr. Administrator, and others who've talked about the going against and how you can basically kind of teach us a lesson and how you're going to cut and where you're going to cut is more than disrespectful. To give out the abatements that you continue to give out is very disrespectful. The disrespect that is displayed by this commissioners that are sitting on here and administrator is more than disrespectful to us. And enough is enough. It's very disrespectful by my own commissioner, Ramirez, as you can see, absent again. But he was not absent on Monday when he went to defend Gunnar Hand at another standing committee meeting. He made sure he reported for them. There are more times than not that he is not at these meetings. That is not serving your community. You don't return phone calls. You don't return emails. You don't respond to the people unless they get you face to face, either before or after one of these meetings, when you do show up. Enough is enough. The disrespect that happened today on Facebook was mainly from the comments of Commissioner Ramirez and what they spurned, especially those from the park board board member that he appointed, who made comments to myself, including calling me a liar, which they had no facts, and continued to spawn hatred and total disrespect to other communities. That I did go to the head of the department, to Angel Ferreira, and I did speak to I'm about to speak to the chairperson. And she was more than wrong, and her facts were wrong. And she violated the social policy of the UG on page 3, how it talks about insulting language and making comments that are disrespectful of any person or business is not tolerated and is prohibited in section K under 4.5. 7.5. This is not acceptable. Well, the department head told me that either the commissioner or the mayor can make because I wanted her removed. We will not tolerate disrespecting any resident, any community person. She made sure she went on there not as a resident, but said she was a board member from the Park District, wanting us to know, representing the UG.
Your
We
time
are
has
tired of
expired.
people disrespecting us, and it is not going to happen. We need to know by the end of this meeting whether this is going to be granted, because I don't want just an apology. She needs to be unseated from her position, or
Your
we should
time has
start the
expired,
recalls.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Alma Rosas Hall. Doctor, you'll need to unmute.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Once again, I still waiting for the total amount of taxes that are Kansas City, Kansas and Unified in Wyandotte County residents are paying after every project. I believe last week I was in a meeting with BPU, and there was a presentation there provided by a representative from the state. They were requesting and stating how much money the city was gonna try to come up with the projects and how great this Chiefs bid and Royals was gonna do for our community. My question continues to be that we cannot as a resident of Wyandotte County, we cannot afford any more projects. We cannot afford the taxes. We cannot afford any more taxes breaks. We just can't. So I'm asking again, if you could publish that information to all of us. This is a technology age. It doesn't take much. It should not take much for you as a body of commissioners and the mayor to come up with that number and publish it and give it to us. Remember that all of you are elected officials. All of you are elected officials with the exception of the Mr. Johnson, but all of you are. So everything that you're doing is going to come up in the next election. I am also asking for the home rule to be coming up, and I don't know how to do that because I'm still learning how to advocate on this issue, but I would like to have the home rule come up into the next ballot. Also, I have noticed that every time I come up and speak, there is little retaliations here and there from some members of the community, and it's okay. That we're paying attention, you're paying attention. Our community wants to have some positive results. Since all of us are looking on how to save money, this is my lack of knowledge, but I want to know how come we have BPU and Unified as separate organization when every time I come up to meetings, I hear that Unified runs BPU. So if we're going to save money, could we take a look as a community, as leaders on that organization and maybe take it under the unified government? Because that's a lot of money. We cannot afford anymore. Maybe once we come up into the little bit of the on the black instead of the red, we can come up with more projects. I don't have a problem with progress. I do have a problem when we're all barely making it in our community. Thank you.
Your time has expired. Mayor, we have no other hands raised online.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank everyone that spoke again in the audience. Appreciate you all coming out. Your recommendations are not going unnoticed and unheard. I just want to let you know that I care about you. I'm going to continue working with you. I know that a lot of commissioners are up here, are here to work with you as well. So we're going to keep trying to do the best we can to make Wyandotte County the place that we all want it to be, which is a great and safe place to live and to work, raise a family. But thank you all. for having the courage to come up and speak. I really appreciate that. So that takes us to our next item. Yes, I'm sorry. Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say it is unfortunate that from what I've heard, there was some post on Facebook which precipitated a lot of you coming out tonight thinking we were going to undo what was done. It's not a part of that, didn't see it. I don't think any of the commissioners want to go back. I, for one, and I believe the rest of my commissioners, you make a decision, you stick with it. You are owed that. So it's unfortunate that apparently something was posted on Facebook that got everybody in an ire, and that is unfortunate. So thank you for your time, but beware of social media because that is not representative of what was happening here tonight. There was nothing about reversing what was done 2 weeks ago. So that is sad, And I do thank Ms. Penn Hicks for mentioning that, again, as I've said for many years, we are not the only taxing entity. So what you see on your tax bill is a combination, so share your stories with these other entities as well. But thank you. I hope we can move on from here.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor.
Since it was brought up, I know that this commission went revenue neutral, and I don't want it to go without being said, and I don't think people realize it. That will not be felt until late 2025. So there will be another tax increase this year. So I don't want anybody to get caught off guard that because this commission went revenue neutral, that budget was for the 2025 budget. And so hearing what Commissioner Townsend said, I don't want anybody, when you get your tax bills, to think that there was some misinformation from this commission meeting. This year's budget was voted on, I believe it was October of last year, and it did require a property tax increase that will be realized probably this November. So just be prepared for that. But also, your voice was heard by a majority of this commission to go revenue neutral. And it coincides with what I've been advocating for, is to put a pressure point on tax increases. So you should be able to see some level of relief, is the hope, in 2025. So, but thank you again for your time, your concerns, for your stories. They are heartfelt. This mayor does care about you, and I'm going to continue fighting for you. So thank you so much. That takes us to our next item. Clerk, can you read it?
Proclamation. Now therefore I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim July 20, 2024 as Colombian Culture Association Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas.
Thank you. That takes us to our third item under the mayor's agenda. I'm going to ask my chief of staff to come. This is something that I thought was a little overdue, and I don't want to take her thunder away, but
Phil, please.
yes, she told me not to.
No,
Let her talk.
I will follow, Mayor.
Irene Cadillo. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator. It is always my pleasure to stand before you. And tonight, I really want to share with you the introduction of a Dot Proud card. So, but before I show, or I guess it'll be shown, but okay, go ahead, show it. But I want to ask you one thing, and I want you to think about what makes a hero. Who or what characteristics immediately come to your mind? With that, I want to give you a definition from the Greater Good Science Center that defines heroism. And it's defined as a concern, someone who has a concern for other people in need, a concern to defend a moral cause, knowing that there is a personal risk done without any expectation of a reward. Many times, well-known people in our community are the names or people you know are often either hailed, honored, or recognized as those heroes. But if you think back of what I asked, think about when I asked you, what makes a hero, or who would you think about when I asked that question? Who popped in your mind? Often, I know when I thought about it, it was kind of the local, everyday person that works quietly and passionately, really to make our community better. In fact, most heroes really are the everyday people in our community. It's their acts that make them heroes. So for many of our unsung heroes that walk among us daily in Wyandotte County, we in the mayor's office really would like to introduce the opportunity for our mayor and all of you commissioners to play a role in recognizing wonderful acts and to acknowledge and really celebrate these examples that are exhibited by our community members. This opportunity embraces really the idea that one person truly can make a difference, and that sometimes the best part of our humanity really shines brightly in the role that we play to recognize and show appreciation to those deserving and shining stars in Wyandotte County that are here in our community. So each of you at your seats, except for Commissioner Bynum, I think I shared those with you earlier. I have a stack that are in front of you. You should see them. All of you have a stack. There are, I would say around, I know it's an odd number, but about 56 cards. I'll say these coveted cards, right? These are yours to honor someone who has worked quietly behind the scenes on behalf of the community without any expectation of recognition. This card really is intended for you to seek out and recognize someone, including our young people, who have been involved in the community for the good deeds that they do. We ask you to not just celebrate long-term residents or original dots, but some of those new dots, new people in our community that have stepped up, some who've stepped up for the first time. Really, one of the things that, excuse me, one of the things that we ask is that it is about helping us combat some of the negative comments, even that you heard tonight, right? How do we create a better image in our community by also honoring our community? So the simple act of recognizing someone sends a strong message. And what it says is that we value you and all that you do to better Wyandotte County. But really, commissioners, and if you can scroll through, this is the first one that you saw was the mayor's front card. This is what the commissioners' cards look like. And if you can go to the back, all of you have the same back version of these cards. But these cards are not, we don't end here. One of the things I'd also like to share is that we have an opportunity to recognize individuals and organizations. And at the next commission meeting, can I just move it? At the next commission meeting, the mayor will celebrate and honor about 15, 16 individuals and organizations with actually a Dot Proud recognition. That we will be honoring some organizations that you will actually be learning about or know about more than anything. And What I'd like for you to think about is that the mayor's office, after this first round, really would like to coordinate and work with you to also have you think about other individuals and organizations that we can help coordinate and together recognize. So after next commission meeting, we'll ask that you work with the mayor's office to do that. But I have one last request. What I would love for you to do is, if there is a time during commission meetings, that you would think about sharing how it's going, how this goes for you and who you met along the way. And as you pass out these cards, take the time to tell us who was deserving that you saw, that you met, and gave a card to, and also give us the opportunity to learn about those Wyandotte County heroes that you gave your card to. So that is it. I thank you for your time, and I can answer any questions. Can we see that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cadillo. Everybody that spoke tonight, I just want you to know that this community is proud of you. As commissioners, all of us and your mayor and our staff that work hard every day, we're doing everything we can, whether you believe that or not, all of us. We're here to try and make a difference. I believe that in my heart. In our own way, we're doing what we feel we can do to try and make a difference. But you all, the ones that show up, the ones that have the courage to speak up, the ones that have the courage to stand up for your values, and to fight for what you believe in, and more importantly, not just for yourselves, but for what represents Wyandotte County and what it means to be a dot. I just want to personally say thank you for those that had the courage to continue to show up tonight, and to really share your stories, to share your struggles, to share your concerns. It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to this commission and to staff, and it means probably even more to a lot of people that are watching you online. And so those that did speak tonight, Mr. Rios, if you get with him, I'd like for you to be the first recipients of my Dot Proud cards, because we are proud of you being those unsung heroes to stand up, speak up, and really be the voice for Wyandotte County. So thank you. And thank you, Chief of Staff. Clerk, I believe item number 4, that was a change in the agenda, correct?
Yes, Mayor, that was removed from the agenda.
Okay, that takes us to the regular consent agenda. Do any members of the commission or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, I will accept a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum. Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kane. Lopez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That takes us to the administrator's agenda. The first item is an ordinance regarding the issuance of private activity bonds by the Kansas Development Finance Authority for the Terrace Point multifamily housing project located at 641 South 71st Terrace in Kansas City, Kansas. It is the position of the mayor to support the housing project. The ordinance presented to the governing body disapproves of the funding mechanism from the Kansas Development Finance Authority, not the project. If the commission takes no action, the developer will be able to proceed to apply for the KDFA funding. I'll ask our legal advisor to make some opening comments.
Thank you, Mayor. So the next two items came to us in the same manner. I received a letter from the Kansas Development Finance Authority, and it states that unless the commission sends notice that they disapprove of the private activity bonds, then the state may proceed to issue those bonds. We did not have, the developers do not contact us. They don't send us information. Our office did get some information about the projects from the state. And we, again, that these letters come to me and the commission has 15 days to act on that. Obviously, that's not an appropriate decision for me to make. That it's a policy decision on whether or not you wish to express displeasure with the state issuing these bonds, or if no action is taken, then the state is free to issue the bonds.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have any comments or questions? Commissioner Lopez.
There we go. Okay. This was a blue sheet and I didn't have much time to do my homework, but I jumped on this pretty quick. So I think we've all been duped a little bit. So this place is Terrace Point. I'm doing some bird dogging researching, and it goes back to Georgia, and it's owned by a hedge fund. It's called Infinity Funds. Now the other one is Northeast Junior High Place LP. Of course, that's not what's on here. It's Legacy Northeast GP LLC. But for some reason that goes back to it's owned by Kansas Funeral Directors Association Services in Topeka. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, hedge fund, a private investment firm that pools money from investors to make investments. The term hedge fund, ability to hedge the value of its assets or to a variety of investment strategies. But anyway, this Infinity Funds revenue last year is $200 million. Why are they asking for funds? How many other LIHTC properties and all that is owned by hedge? Which I'm going to find out. I'll do my digging. I'll do my research. But we need to take that under advisement before we want to vote on this. Just FYI. So I think we've been apparently these hedge funds are doing all kinds of stuff under the table that nobody's paying attention to. And that's why, again, our taxes are so freaking high, because now we got to eat the money, and we got to pick it up. So we need to take all this under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarity, I apologize. If the petitioner would come and speak to your projects, I think that might bring a little more clarity. So this commission can make an informed decision as to what you're asking for and what these properties represent.
Thank you all for your time tonight, commissioners and members of the public who came out to address the commission. I'll be brief and hopefully can alleviate some of your concerns.
Sir, can you give us your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Matt Fulson. Fulson. I'm the president of Fulson Housing Group. Terrace Point, I'll start from that one. Terrace Point is a 125 unit property, just off 71st Terrace. The organization that you read about who owns that development currently owns it. My company has it under contract to purchase and renovate. The bonds that KDFA notified the UG about are the bonds that we're using to fund the financing of the acquisition and rehabilitation of the development. So I'm not here representing Infinity. I'm here representing the buyer of the property who is planning to make substantial renovations to it. I didn't realize that KDFA was submitting this to the UG, or we would have had this conversation prior. But so that's the long and the short of why you saw what you saw in terms of the current ownership. My company has been involved in the affordable housing business for 21 years. this is our niche, our specialty in the affordable housing business is renovating older complexes. And this one, we got the opportunity to do it. It won an award of funding from the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation. The bonds were the next phase of it. And these are properties that are both 100% on the tax rolls. There's no abatement that I'm coming back for. This is it's an affordable complex that is already there. There are residents that are living in conditions that are less than ideal. And our plan is to, again, put substantial renovations in them, and then our management takes over, and I continue to own them for a minimum of the next 15 years. If I could speak to Legacy at Northeast, that is the new name that is the name that I chose to give it. That development is, again, an affordable housing deal that was done 15 years ago, has fallen on some serious hard times. Its management is out of state. Its owner passed away about 4 years ago. I negotiated the sale of that from basically from his estate and the limited partners who were in that partnership. Again, our desire and what we do is put substantial renovations into these things, take over management, and continue to own and operate them. So, I was talking to a couple of commissioners about my personal connection to Northeast. My father grew up at 11th and Quindaro, attended school at Northeast. So did all of his 10 brothers and sisters. All of them went to Sumner. My dad's 85, and his health isn't failing or anything, but I want to see him see that project done. So that's a personal thing for me, has nothing to do with any of this. But if KDFA gets a vote of support from this body or no objection, they'll issue these bonds, and we can move forward to helping out the living conditions for 165 residents in Wyandotte County. So,
Commissioner Lopez.
Okay, so you can cut it all you want to cut it, but it's owned by a hedge fund, a $200 million revenue. Their goal is sucking wealth out of affordable housing, and that's what we've been seeing. That's why our taxes are through the roof. That's what we all have been seeing.
But that's the current ownership. I'm buying it from them.
You're buying it from the hedge fund.
Yes.
You're buying it from the hedge fund.
Yes.
It's hard to believe, but okay.
Council, can you clarify? I think there's two big questions. Number one, if there's any financial obligation to the unified government or taxpayers here in Wyandotte County, and also any knowledge as to the question from the commissioner.
So there would not be, if the bonds were issued, there's no obligation placed on the unified government for these bonds. They don't make the payments. They're not responsible. And nor is the state responsible if the state issues these. These are private bonds that they're payable solely from the revenues available and pledged by the borrower. So they would not be an obligation to the taxpayers of Wyandotte County. The actions tonight, if you could, there is an ordinance if you wish to adopt it. If you do not, the commission doesn't have to object. You can simply move to the next item, and then no notice would be given by the commission, and the state could issue the bonds. And I forgot the question from the commissioner I'm supposed to answer.
I think you answered it.
I answered it. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Commissioner Stikes.
Stites District 7. Can you explain, if you would, one more time, who's obligated for the bonds? Because it sounded to me like I don't even know I don't know who it is. I mean, somebody's borrowing money, somebody's obligated to pay it back. So who is that?
That would be the developer.
Are you buying your own bonds?
I'm not.
They're going out to,
they're
going out
being
to market?
privately placed with
Okay.
with a bank, yes.
All right, and you're not asking for any tax abatement?
That's correct.
And this is a facility right now, formerly known as the Sunflower Apartments.
That's
right?
correct.
That is ran down, looks terrible, and a
Which is
rat hole.
which is the reason that we are involved.
Right. So the people are going to continue to live there right
Correct.
now.
Correct.
right? Whether this goes through or not, right?
That's
The
correct.
difference is that you're coming in there to hopefully bring a new look and a fresh idea and a place for people to be proud of where they're living, hopefully, right?
Yes, sir.
And there's no obligation for the unified government.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
'Cause, it would have been very difficult to have this conversation without a representative from your organization in the room. I do have a question for legal or for our county administrator. So this is, at least since I've been on the commission, the second time I've seen KDFA applications. Is the current protocol that every time there's a KDFA application that's in Wyandotte County, we will have to vote on whether or not we disapprove? Is that the current protocol right now?
So yes, I don't know what happened before. I don't know if they did this before, but once I receive those, unless the commission gives a blanket, resolution not to bring it before them, any of them, this is not a staff decision. This is a board decision, so.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to ascertain if this is a process that will be repeated should future developers want to go through KDFA for seeking out private financing.
Yes, unless the board provides blanket instruction to staff, they will all come before you.
Okay, gotcha. I just wanted to make sure, because again, I just haven't seen as many. This project, as we understand it, you're going to pay full market rate property taxes. You're going to be paying the full BPU pilot, full utilities, full stormwater, wastewater, what have you. No sales tax abatement. So any construction materials or anything that's used for the renovation, all that stuff you're paying full market rate taxes on. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we are good to go there. What I'll say to you, sir, is I hope you are successful in this endeavor. I mean, yeah, I think yes, I hope you are successful in this. I hope you are successful in this endeavor. I also hope that when all this is said and done, years later, we would not have to deal with issues regarding poor property management.
100%.
I take you as earnest with your connections to the community, but again, it's going to be action that follows. And if you are successful, we have over 4,000 land bank parcels that are in need of support. And so I will absolutely love to connect with you, because we need more market rate projects. We need all types of housing, whether that's apartments, whether that's townhomes, whether it's single family homes, and we need good property management. And so thank you for wanting to do business here in Wyandotte County.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stites.
Stites, District 7, once again.
Yes, sir.
So I'm assuming that there's not going to be any type of development agreement that's going to be attached to this, right? So I'm going to ask you this as a man to a man.
Yes.
What's your, if you're looking at using any local contractors, minority contractors, women owned, because I know that has been a push for us as a commission to put those goals in place. And with this, and I know that you're not going to be bound by it, but I would hope that you use local, minority, and women as much as you can from our community that you're coming into. Thank you. I'll take an answer.
A commitment to that, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Council, I guess one more time, just direction as far as the impact. If the commission does vote, what does that mean? Up, yes or no? And then if they choose not to vote, and then just I I can move on to the next item if there's a interest for that, what that would do as well.
Correct, Mayor. If the item if we move on to the next item and no action is taken, then no notice of objection will be provided to the state and they are free to issue the bonds. The ordinance, if that were adopted and voted on, then we would issue notice of per state statute, we would issue notice to the state that the commission has objected. So the commission could vote that they don't object, but that's not necessarily. Simply doing nothing means that you do not object.
Council, if the motion for approval, what would that do?
It would be a motion to approve the ordinance. That
Yes.
would mean that you object and the state would not issue the bonds.
So a motion for denial.
That would mean that that notice would not be provided to the state and they are free to issue the bonds.
Stand by just a second, Council. Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Mayor. Point of clarification, are we taking these together or one at a time? Which might,
That'd have to be one at a time.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay. That's what I
Um,
wanna know. And I would suggest that if we want the developer to move forward, that there be no vote taken. There's not one needed.
Okay, it's a little different because, if there are no objections from this commission, this body, I will move on to the next item. Okay, Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you. Since we're moving on to the next one, I just wanted to give Mr. Wilson the opportunity to talk a little bit more about what him moving forward would mean to the Northeast place.
We'll get there, Commissioner.
We're not there yet?
We're not quite.
Okay.
Okay, I believe Commissioner Lopez had a question, then Commissioner. Good, okay, Commissioner Stites.
I got one more and then I'll be finished, I promise. So, what is your anticipated rental rates?
I don't have those, right in front of me,
Well,
but
I mean,
the-
somebody
the
had to
resident-
do a
the
proposal
residents-
on here or you wouldn't
the
be.
residents that are there pay 30% of their income. They will continue to pay 30% of their income.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'm fully aware of Terrace Point. Was originally Sunflower Apartments. I worked on the police department, a lot of problems. The residents are still there. I don't believe that, they're slated to go anywhere, especially when you're talking about a housing shortage. But that property is in desperate need of repair. The conditions are conditions that I wouldn't recommend anyone live in currently. Would you agree?
I would agree.
And when you're talking about improving the quality and the standard of life for our residents, as well as improving the aesthetic of, when you talk about what our community looks like, I think that that you're doing a good deed to at least try and improve the quality of life and the dynamic of what Wyandotte County could look like there. And I'm sure the residents would approve someone coming in and refurbishing and rehabbing that property to bring it up to something that makes Wyandotte County proud. So Commissioner Lopez.
Just a quick, so have you bought this property yet? Are you buying it or
No,
what-
we
are
have-
you under contract?
We're under contract.
Okay, so, all right. Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to our next item, and I believe, before I get into Commissioner Townsend's question, if you can talk briefly about if there's a difference, if there's a variance to this other property and what that means is. for you.
None. No, I mean, in terms of variance between what we've talked about, no, it's the identical type of property. financed with the KDFA bonds. And so there's virtually no difference in the financing mechanism for the two projects.
And for clarity, for those watching, I apologize. That is item number 2. It is the last item on the administrator's agenda. It's an ordinance regarding the issuance of private activity bonds by the Kansas Development Finance Authority for the Legacy at Northeast Multifamily Housing Project located at 400 Troop Avenue in Kansas City, Kansas. It is the position of this mayor to support this housing project. The ordinance presented to this governing body. If the commission takes no action, the developer will be able to proceed to apply for the KDFA funding. Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you for your words of support, Mr. Mayor. This would be a good time, Mr. Folsom, to talk specifically now about Northeast Place, what that would mean in terms of the residents that are there, what your plans, specific plans are for renovation or renewal of that facility, what it would mean going forward in terms of management, because there have been problems, and how you would handle that differently. So here's your opportunity.
Sure. Thank you. Northeast is a 40-unit complex that was originally developed in 2007. As I mentioned earlier, the development is fallen on some difficult times. The owner passed away about 4 years ago. His executive team all left. They managed outside of their own company, so they had third party management. The project has been mismanaged for a number of years, and as a result, the occupancy is somewhere around the 50% mark. Portions, a good number of that 50% mark hadn't been paying rent, and so when we got involved and found out this kind of stuff was going on, we needed to move more quickly with our renovation, our relocation, et cetera. We've got about a dozen residents, 12 to 14 residents that are still in the building right now. Per the Uniform Relocation Act, which we will have to follow for this project, those folks will be relocated off-site during the entire renovation. We're not going to try to renovate the building with residents in it. Our plan right now has about an $8 million hard cost budget going into the project. Again, the rents that are there, people that are there pay 30% of their rent. They will continue to pay 30% of their income. 30% of their income. And once we get started on closing and then onto our renovations, my firm's management company will take over. I tell you, one of the first things that's going to happen that's different than it has been is we'll have 24/7 security on site until we need 12, and we'll never have less than 12-hour security. But I believe that we're going to have to get it's a new day there. We are committed to making it the community that embraced it 15 years ago when it was originally finished. The thing that I can say that's different about my company is that when we finish, we manage, and the folks that are there every day in the management role, in the maintenance role, answer to my office, and we are all one team. So it doesn't do us any good to cut corners on the construction end of things or the development end of things, because our management company is going to be running it. Those people are right down the hall, and I don't want to create a fight there. But the historic significance of Northeast, can't be understated here. As I mentioned, family members that all went to school there. That's my grandparents' neighborhood. For me to have the opportunity to do what I've spent my career doing in the neighborhood where my father grew up is an opportunity that I don't want to pass on. And this is You know, in real estate, you're never supposed to fall in love with a deal. You're never supposed to fall in love with a transaction. I've made that mistake a number of times, and this is no exception. So I request that you, through no action or some action or whatever action, to allow us to move forward and improve the lives of the folks that are at Northeast Junior.
Can you talk a little bit more specifically about the types of redevelopment that you'll be doing in Northeast and inclusive of space that is there?
Certainly,
But
certainly.
was not used before to
Certainly.
the benefit of the tenants.
15 years ago when the building was developed, I mean, like I said, our budget's about $8 million. So it is a overhaul of what was done even in the 07 renovation. And so, you know, one of the biggest missed opportunities during that renovation was the auditorium that is basically the center of the building, and nothing was done with it. It is in the same condition that it was in when the building was closed in 1977. And so we are bringing that back for community space. And so that will all be redone in addition to the 40 units that are in the building. That space will be able to be used primarily for residents, but if we have community functions that desire to use the space, we'll work that out. We'll work that out as well. Commissioners want to have town halls or something, we'll have space to accommodate something like that. The other piece is that we are working with our team is trying to work to bring services to the residents at both places. I didn't mention this before. We didn't get into that, but services to the residents through nonprofit partners that have that provide services for residents on these properties. So we're trying to be comprehensive with not only our overhaul of the physical, but to bring extra to these developments so that people are able to thrive there. So
Will there be an age restriction? Is this open to?
yes, it's a 55 plus.
55 plus.
Yep.
Okay.
I would say senior, but I'm almost there.
Okay. Have you done similar projects anywhere in the greater Kansas City area?
Yes, we have, not historic, well,
There's only one Northeast.
there is only one Northeast, but we were involved in the redevelopment of the townhouse hotel at 7th and State through the construction completion. That was a much larger renovation. I mean, our budget there was 25 million. But we're involved in that historic project, another historic project in central Missouri that we did. We are working on a $41 million redevelopment of a hotel in East St. Louis, Illinois. So very similar projects to what we're talking about. I think the difference between this one is it's going to be a truly in-house deal for us. Our office is 25 minutes away. We're going to be on site. We're going to be managing. We're going to be heavily involved in the day-to-day operation of the project.
Well, thank you. Those things I think are crucial to this being a success. The other thing to consider is if you are not, if this is not approved for you, that you already said the former owner, is out of the picture. And for whatever reasons, they were not doing everything you said you're going to do, and I think it's imperative to do. What will become of Northeast? And I'm awfully afraid it would just become a site for more vandalism, unused space that we all have said additional housing, especially for seniors, is critical. That's part of the tax equation, that we need more housing. So I'm encouraging my fellow commissioners to approve what you're doing by taking no action. No action is necessary. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez.
Okay, first I just want to kind of apologize. I kind of jumped the gun on you. It's just that we got
What's
this,
up?
we got this blue sheet. I barely had time to do my homework. I mean, we already had they tried to throw a fast one by us last week and I caught them on it. And so I'm just saying, but I'm gonna do my homework on this.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I
If I
mean,
can help, please.
well,
I
I'm
wa-
gonna do
I
my
wanna help you
homework
do
now.
it.
If I have to, I'll hold you to the fire now.
It's a long line. I'm ready.
All right.
Okay, thank you. And hopefully, you know, I believe that, I'm gonna ask our commissioners to, entertain no action. Um, so your project hopefully can move forward. And I share, I believe in the sentiment, of our commissioners for both projects and for the community. We truly want you to be successful. Um, we are looking for improved quality of life, for our neighborhoods, as well as, revitalizing our neighborhoods. And so you willing to take that on, you need to be applauded. And anybody that's in sight and sound of me, we need this type of economic development, interest in Wyandotte County, in our older properties such as that you're doing to revitalize that and improve, those living conditions as well as the management to make sure that they're safe and livable for those residents. But also we need housing and economic development, well, specifically housing for all economic, socioeconomic levels, throughout Wyandotte County. And we need, to expand, economic development within these housing developments and around. So if those opportunities exist for you, I believe that not only this commission and staff, but I believe that this community would welcome quality, well thought out, developments that are going to improve the quality of life and provide the good services and resources, that, not only our citizens come to expect, but they deserve. So I just want to say, thank you. And I got a dot card waiting for you. You can't get it yet. You got to show some success. You got to earn it. So earn your dot card and, come back to my office or one of your commissioners' office. I know Commissioner Townsend has one too, so I'll let her give you
I'm
yours.
gonna give him one just for taking this on.
There you go. Okay.
I'm
So we got two.
No, let me earn it. Let me earn it. I appreciate the opportunity and I want to make you all proud of this decision. So thank you. And if I can help you, Commissioner Lopez, let me know.
Okay, if there's no objection from this commission, I will move on to the next item. Okay, that concludes the portion of our regular meeting and I adjourn us in the capacity of the Unified Board of Commissioners as a regular body. And I'll entertain a motion to call us back in order, to adjourn as the Board of Commission and call us back in order as the County Board of Health.
I am so moved.
David, second.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Stites,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramir, or Hill,
Aye.
King,
Aye.
Lopez,
All right.
motion carries.
Okay. The only item we have under the County Board of Health agenda is a presentation from our Wyandotte County Public Health Department regarding the role of the local Board of Health. I'll recognize staff for the presentation. And I just want to know, this is for information only, so there will be no action from this commission.
Good evening. Do I have a, oh, all right. Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Dr. Pearl Nguyen, and it is my pleasure to be with you here for the first convening of the Board of Health in 2024. With me here this evening, I have part of our Health Department team. We have Director, Dr. Eli Caldwell, Deputy Director, Terry Garrison, and Strategic Operations and Communications Manager, Colleen Kelly. Before I get started, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been here at the Health Department now for almost 3 years. I'm a previously practicing obstetrician and gynecologist. And in addition to my work at the Health Department, I also serve at the state level as chair of KPQC, that's the Kansas Perinatal Quality Collaborative. I also serve on the leadership committee of the Kansas MMRC, the Maternal Mortality Review Committee, and I serve as director of the State Maternal Health Innovation Program. And through these roles, I have the opportunity to help promote the welfare of mothers and babies across the state of Kansas. So this is work that is deeply important to me. So this evening, we are going to cover these 3 objectives. We'll talk briefly about what is public health. Then I'd like to outline for you the governance structure of public health in the state of Kansas. And finally, I will relay some of the various legal authorities that guide the execution of public health activities in Wyandotte County. These particular topics were chosen this evening to ensure that we're all on the same page, as we know that some of you have been serving in your roles for quite some time and others are relatively new to this work. So let me jump in and start with what is public health. Public health refers to the activities that we engage in to improve the quality of our lives and help our children grow and thrive. And we do this by promoting and protecting the health of all of the people living in specific communities. Communities can be small. They can be a single street, a neighborhood, a census block. They can be medium-sized, a specific zip code, a census tract, a district, and they can be larger, an entire county, a metro, a state, or the entire country. A community could also refer to a specific group or groups of people by race or ethnicity, by age, by socioeconomic status, by specific health condition, or by specific exposures, and that's just to name a few examples. Because public health activities can be so broad, we generally describe them using a model or framework to organize how we think of these activities. And so what we have pictured here on the slide is the 10 essential public health services. This is a CDC-developed national framework that has been in use for many years across the country and was most recently updated in 2020. You can see that this framework helps broadly categorize public health activities as either assessment, policy development, or assurance. Assurance meaning ensuring that the findings from assessment and policy development activities are effectively implemented. Specific clinical services, such as those offered at the health department, are also contained within these broader categories. And so I just want you to notice some of the types of public health activities because it is a broad spectrum. So in red, we have things like assessing and monitoring population health. In orange, we talk about communicating effectively. In the darker green, we talk about utilizing legal and regulatory mechanisms. In the dark purple, we talk about innovation through evaluation, research, and quality improvement. And in the magenta, we talk about maintaining a strong organizational infrastructure. The second model that I want to put in front of you is this one called the Kansas Foundational Public Health Services Model. And that is because this is a state-specific model that has been adopted across Kansas. And this shows you a different way of thinking about public health activities. In this case, this model organizes key public health activities as either being under foundational areas, things like communicable disease control, environmental health, access to clinical care, or foundational capabilities or staff capabilities, things like emergency preparedness and response, communications, organizational competencies. Now that we've had a chance to briefly talk about what public health is, I'd like to spend a few minutes laying out the governance structure of public health, specifically in the state of Kansas and as it relates to Wyandotte County. Kansas has a decentralized public health system, which means that the majority of the 100 local health departments are units of local government. Wyandotte County has a combined city-county local health department, and that aligns with our combined city-county government. The Kansas legislature has authorized local boards of health and local health officers, and through that delegates much of the authority and responsibility for public health activities to local officials. And this is done to try to balance the state's responsibility for the health and safety of all Kansans against the specific needs of local government and local communities. Local health departments are governed by local boards of health. In Wyandotte County, the Board of Commissioners also serves as the local Board of Health. On this slide, what you'll see is the specific language out of the UG ordinance that outlines the roles and responsibilities of the Board of Health, that's all of you, the county administrator, and the local health officer. And I'm not going to read any of this language to you. I just want you to be aware of where it comes from. And so with that, I'd like to go into a little bit more detail now about some of the legal authorities that come into play, starting with the table on this slide. What you see here is a table that sort of outlines for you how certain public health responsibilities are distributed across state and local government. So for instance, if you look up towards the top of the table in the lighter purple, when we talk about things like childhood immunizations or nursing scope of practice, that's primarily regulated at the state level. And then if you go all the way down to the bottom of the table in the orange and you see things like public health nuisance or septic inspections, that's primarily regulated at the local level. But there's also an in-between category, things like infectious disease, air quality, environmental health. And these are areas where there are laws at both the state and local level that we have to abide by in the execution of required public health activities as a local health department. Continuing on with legal authorities, on this particular slide, I want to go into a little bit more depth about the specific authorities related to communicable disease control. When we're talking about communicable disease or infectious disease, those are generally diseases that you think of as being reportable. Things like tuberculosis, sexually transmitted infections, HIV, just to name a few examples. And I want to draw your attention to some of the specific responsibilities that are both shared and complementary between the local Board of Health and the local health officer. And those are responsibilities related to both the investigation of communicable disease and also taking the necessary measures to try and prevent the spread of communicable disease. And finally, on this slide, what we have to share with you is a list of some, this is not comprehensive, but it's intended to give you a broad array of examples of other UG ordinances that have public health implications. And you'll see as you scan down this list that some of these are more obvious than others. So for instance, we have air pollution, health and sanitation, but we also have implications when we talk about streets and sidewalks and swimming pools. And with that, I'd like to wrap up with a few concluding thoughts. Starting with, in your packets that you received this evening is a more detailed brief of the information that I'm presenting on these slides. For those of you that would like to know more, you have that information available to you. Also contained within your packets is a flyer. KDHE, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, or our state health department, is embarking on a public health roadshow. And I apologize, I did not have the flyer when we had to create the slides, but now you have in there the dates and the locations. And what they are doing is featuring speakers who will be sharing information about the value of public health, the role of local boards of health, and sustainable public health funding. So I would hope that some of you might be interested in taking advantage of that opportunity. And with that, we would like to just open things up and ask if any of you have any questions about the information that was presented this evening. And then just let you know that at our next convening of the Board of Health, we will be bringing to you information about specific key data points in Wyandotte County and some of the health department work in which we've had some successes and also areas where we are continuing to address remaining challenges. So I'll give a moment if there are any questions.
Thank you. Any questions that come free? Commissioner Burns.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has worked in the health department or whatever want to speak here tonight? If so, please come forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns and commissioners. Thanks for having the Board of Health convene tonight. My name is Alan Greiner. I'm the County Health Officer for Wyandotte County. Some of you I know well from our days working on COVID a few years ago. I've been the health officer now for 21 years. My full-time job is at KU Med as a family doc. And I'm sad, and I just say a few words about why I'm sad. This county actually had the best, most robust, most innovative COVID response in this whole metropolitan area. This county is small, right? We're small compared to the other counties and jurisdictions, but there was a great team over there working on COVID, and none of us knew what we were doing. We may have overreacted to some things, we may have underreacted to some things, but we worked as a team. And the reason I think it worked well is we were empowering each other from the top level leadership to everybody else in the group. And we were listening to the community. We had a health equity task force. Ms. Caudia was on it. It guided what we did. And the reason I'm sad now is because we have lost the ability to work as a team. It's been going on for several months. It precedes a lot of this work on budgetary issues and revenue neutral. And it's taken some of the people who are really good, like the people I'm sitting with over there, and it's disempowered them. And it's going to go wherever it goes, and whatever happens is going to happen. But I find it sad for the community. And honestly, if you want to save money, you don't, all you have to do is look at who got asked to come to this meeting and sit in the front row and who didn't. Because that health department will run, honestly, in my opinion, it will run better without your high salaries at the top right now that you're paying than it will run if you just let the people who know how to do the work in the different departments do the work. And the reason I'm saying that is because I didn't even get told that this Board of Health meeting was happening tonight. Nobody wanted me involved in it because I've expressed my concerns about the lack of teamwork and about the inability of our leadership to listen to the people in the field. And it makes me sad. My time may be up as your health officer. I don't know where that's going to go in the coming days and weeks. It's up to you guys, honestly. And there may be somebody else better to do it with this team, but there's still some good staff there that know what they're doing and need to be empowered. So I hope there's a way that can happen. I hope there's some positivity in this. We've got some serious problems right now with tuberculosis. Some of you guys have heard about. I heard today the president of Micronesia wants to come visit Wyandotte County to work with us on that issue. And this commission is going to have to get involved in that, because I don't think our current leadership at the health department can host a president from another country on an issue like that and do it well. That's just my opinion. So I'll stop. Thank you.
So, Doctor, are you insinuating or telling us that there have been key people let go recently there that have played key roles?
There have been a number of key people that have left, that have resigned and left in the last several months. And there's plans to get rid of people. I understand the budgetary issues, and there's revenue neutral stuff and all of that. But there's also, there's people that are willing to do things probably for less money that don't even get asked, would you do this for less money? If somebody asked me, will I do it for less money? I'll probably tell them, yeah, I'll find a way to get more money over at KU, seeing more patients or something, so I can keep working in Wyandotte County. Nobody even asked me that kind of stuff. So,
well, we would sure hate to lose the connection with KU Medical Center. That would be a drastic thing for our county. So I'm recommending that you get together with the administrator and and we need to get to the bottom of whatever in the heck is going on down there. I appreciate you coming forward and all that you do and all you have done, very much so. And all the other health professionals that really didn't work for money. They did it because they wanted to and to help the health department. So thank you for coming and expressing yourself. I don't know if anybody else has any questions.
Yes, sir. Hit the button for me, Commissioner. You know, I've got the utmost respect for you. Mike Kane ceded some of his time to you, so. Commissioner Kane?
You guys were so good that the governor went to the White House during COVID. That all the elected body folks that were representing this area here and others that didn't come to see what you guys had done. And I actually was there for a different reason the day they all showed up. I said, oh my God, look at what we're doing. What you did in the amount of time that you did it was unbelievable. And I appreciate it then, I appreciate it now, and I think we do need to have some people check and talk about the issues that you have, but thanks for what you've done. I think our health department has been pretty damn good for a long time with little recognition.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. Dr. Griner, I want to express my sincere appreciation to yourself and the employees. When we were going through COVID, we didn't know. We learned along the way collectively together. And sometimes I don't want to say butted heads, but sometimes we weren't on the same page. However, the benefit of having you at the helm and the committed workers of the unified government and the public health department got us through that pandemic and brought us recognition in the metropolitan area. And I'm just very proud of that. We have a community of much need. Our health statistics aren't the best, as we know, and the challenges are there every day, but every one of you rise to the occasion every day. So thank you, and thank every one of you at the health department who I've really gotten to know and share much of my respect throughout the community when I hear about our health department. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lopez.
Yes, sir. I don't know you very well. Actually, I don't know you at all, but there's another doctor. I just want to say thank you because there is another doctor that's just exactly like you. His name's Dr. Gassemi. If you've heard of him, we call him Dr. G. And he's at 83rd and State, and he has his own health insurance. It's great. Before I was here at the UT, in fact, I still use him. He looks for the right, where it's affordable for everybody. And it sounds like you're just exactly like him. And I appreciate you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Dr. Griner, I don't think we've had the opportunity. Maybe probably have been on some virtual meetings and stuff, so that I'll take ownership for that. So it is nice to finally meet you, at least in person. I honestly wish the community would have stayed here for this particular conversation because there are both sides of going revenue neutral. And there's the one side of reducing property taxes, but now there's the side of where do you make those cuts, right? And I think I forgot which staff member I said, but we have a lot of work to do to make sure that the most vulnerable still have a shot, right? And that it does not fall on the poor or the disabled, quite frankly, some of the very folks that were asking for the property tax reduction. And so I say all that to say, you all, please do bother me if there are events and things that are happening, particularly in my district, that you would like for me to be aware of so I can be more educated on what is taking place. I want to do that. I actually was having a conversation this morning about the chip and that process and how important it is. I just think the electeds, we need to get more involved. Please bother me, bother me, because I want to hear more about how we can get through this. and how we can go through this process in a diplomatic way and not a way that destroys the morale of any department. And so I appreciate your candor and your honesty because we appreciate the work that you have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank my fellow commissioners for your comments, especially to Dr. Greiner, but the health department in general. Two quick things. The first one being living through that pandemic as an elected official was unlike anything I've ever experienced ever. Our health department was stellar. We know that. I know what my life was like just as an elected official trying to respond to the community, respond to the business owners, respond to the citizens, share information. You know, we felt a little bit powerless other than being able to share whatever you all were telling us. It was truly one of the most unique experiences of my life, and I'm certainly glad I lived through it. But to you and the health department who were there, boots on the ground, doing that work and doing innovative work, innovating probably because you had to. I just wanted to make sure I took the opportunity to say that since you all brought it up. I appreciate the presentation that you've given us tonight, and I understand you made it brief, and I get that. We should probably convene as the Board of Health more often. And I also want to speak words of support for our community health improvement plan because we are 8 years into a solid community health improvement plan, having worked on that concept for multiple years prior to calling it a CHIP. Gosh, the people in this community, many of whom spoke to us tonight, are in trouble with their health, and that community health improvement plan is important to the future well-being of our Wyandotte County folks. And I think that my main purpose is to state for the record, for the public, that community health improvement plan is extremely important for Wyandotte County, and it should be important to this commission. Thanks for being here, and thank you for the presentation. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you to the doctor and to the health department. I will say during 2020, when COVID was here and that hit, I was not a commissioner at that time. Just been a commissioner 7 months this month. So my experience was just, I was scared to death. I had just had surgery, so a lot of things were happening for me that was at that time scary. And I was so impressed with how things were organized and the use of the old Kmart building, all of that. So thank you to the health department, and thank you to those who work with CHIPS, and thank you for your presentation tonight. And one thing really disturbed me that you said, the reason you were sad is because the teamwork has somehow disintegrated since that time. And so I'm very hopeful that in many departments, in many arenas with the unified government and the community, we can work together. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for your presentation, and more importantly, thank you for the work that you give to the citizens of Wyandotte. Doctor?
I'm Dr. Caldwell, and I'm the health director here in Wyandotte. You know, I want to recognize sometimes we do have challenges, but I've enjoyed working with our health officer, and we do work as a team. And my hope is that we are going to continue working together as a team. I've been in public health for almost 2 decades. I've seen the worst. I led county in North Carolina during COVID. So I've seen the worst in public health. And I think it was one of the reasons why when I was offered this job, I decided to come to Wyandotte. Because I studied Wyandotte population very carefully and compared to other works I have done, not just in the States, but around the world. So bringing the expertise in Wyandotte was important. Equally so, the health department takes directives from our administrator and the commissioner. And we have enjoyed that support. So I think we as a team, we continue to work together with our health officer, with the public, with our staff. And I have to say today, the presentation here really was on behalf of every staff in the health department. The leadership in the health department cannot be successful without the support of the staff, of the team members. We recognize that. There are concerns, we address that. But I want the commissioner to know that as a director, I really appreciate what our health officer brings to the table. And rest assured that we are going to work together as a team to address the complex public health problem issue in Wyandotte. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. And again, thank you all for your work, your commitment to Wyandotte County, and just your presentation. So thank you so much. That concludes the items on the agenda for tonight. I'll entertain a motion.
Bynum, so move.
Okay, I'll accept the motion, and there's a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Kane. Lopez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.